Hello, this is Daniel at LDM Design, and I'd like to give a full walkthrough of my latest device, which is called Palette. Now, the Palette device is aimed to change the color of the tracks and the clips in Ableton Live. By default, when we use Live, we don't have that many options regarding the colors of things. And what we can do is either we can have all of the tracks coming in the same color, which can look quite boring, in my opinion, or we can have auto-assigned colors, in which case it's the opposite, it's really random. And even if we do reduce the colors with this, I still find personally that I get a lot of colors that I just don't like and that just don't fit for me. So I thought it would be a great idea to make something where we can create our own palette of limited colors, and then we don't have to worry about any horrible colors coming in like this garish pink color, which personally I hate. So let's have a look at the interface. We have this familiar palette, which we can see whenever we color any track or clip. And these are the only colors available to us when we are coloring anything. Here we have the track palette. And all I need to do to populate the track palette is just to drag and drop from here whichever colors I feel like I want to have. So just for example, we can create a palette. No, not the horrible pink. Let's have this one instead. So this palette can be bigger. We can have it up to 16 color slots, but I'm just gonna keep working with a smaller palette. And once the palette is set, any tracks that I create in Live will automatically take on these colors. And specifically, whichever color is selected will be the next color that is assigned. So if we create a track, we can see that color was assigned and it's gone on to the next color. So if we add a few more, we can see exactly what this is supposed to do. Now here in the palette settings, we have sequential mode. We could also have it on random mode, in which case it will just choose a random color from our palette. But the one thing that I wanted to make sure is that we will never get two colors next to each other, so that it's easier to find the tracks that we're looking for and they remain distinctive. So what if we put this device into a project that I'm already working on, and maybe I want to color all of the tracks that I'm already using, and for me personally, let's get rid of this one and repaint the whole thing. So if we click here, paint all, then it will just go through again and repaint, starting from whichever color that I'm selecting at the moment, if it's on sequential mode, of course. So here we can see we just went through and it goes around in a loop. Maybe also I would like to just paint one of the tracks, in which case we have this button here. Now we click it once to open the color, and whichever color is selected, then the next track that you click on will take on that color. Okay, there is one thing that I forgot here, in that we need to make sure that the track is not already selected, or the track is not the last track which was selected. Because this is the last track that I created, that is already the last track that was selected. So we make sure whenever we're using this, first of all, we just need to click out, and then we can paint the track that we like. Now, what if we want to color more than one track, but not all of them? In which case we can put the lock on here, and now when I click open, this color will remain open and it will go through one by one until I press the button again to close it. Now you might have noticed that when I'm playing with these and when I clicked paint all, we're limited to just the MIDI and audio tracks, if there are any audio tracks. But the return tracks here are not included. Now, maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to have them their own distinctive color, separate from the palette. But maybe we want to include them. So in which case, if I click on returns here, we can see that already they take on colors from the palette. And again, if I want to paint all, then we can do that, or we can paint one of them like this. That's fine. Another option we have here is related to group tracks, and if we look, we might see that here we have the group track. The tracks that are grouped remain a different color from the group track, but personally I like to make sure that the tracks inside a group remain the same color. And so if we click it on this, then we can see that if we group some tracks here, we can see that they automatically take on the same color, and that was the color that painted the new group track here. We can also see then if we paint all and we go through again, then it will just affect it like so. Now if I want to paint a single track, we can do that, and because we're deliberately painting one of these tracks, it will take on the new color. But also if we paint this group track, then it will make sure to paint all of the tracks within the group. Now regarding the tracks, we have another option here which we can work with, and I think this one is maybe popular with some people. I know there are one or two devices already out there which work with this in some way. So here we can match the names of the tracks. And so when I clicked it, we opened up this bottom section here. And this is not a palette in the same way. Here we just have 8 individual slots. And if we click through, we have a text box here we can use. So first of all, let's give it a color for number 1. And whatever text that I enter in here, first of all, when we enter some text, make sure you do press enter so that that is logged in as the name associated with this color. And then if any tracks we happen to name which include that text, then we can see that it will take on the color of that slot. Now another thing is that it doesn't matter what case we use. We could have uppercase and lowercase, and it will still recognize that the word is there. Then of course we can just change that color and it will automatically happen in the tracks. And then if we don't want that name to affect anymore, maybe we have some other names we want to keep, but we want to get rid of this one, then just we can delete that and make sure we press enter to change that. And then we're going to manually change the color back to how it was. Of course, we can just paint all, and we can see that that goes back to colors from the palette. Now, any track which has a name which matches here, this will override the palette always. Now, while we've been talking about tracks, you might have noticed this track already has some clips in there and these clips have simply followed the exact same color as the track. That's because we have here in the clip mode selected as track, but we have some other options we can use. I'm going to start with separate. So if we have separate, then first of all we can see that the tracks are completely separate from the clips. So if I was to repaint the tracks, the clips are not affected at all. And here we have a completely separate palette that we can use for the clips. So if I just put something in here, oops, this one didn't quite get there. So here we have very similar options for the clips, and we can have again a bigger palette if we like. We can have this paint when we're using paint all to go through the selection of colors sequentially or randomly. And so if we click it here, we can see that we go through this palette when we're painting each clip. Again, we can also paint just a single clip, and we can also lock that down in the same way. Another thing is that it works exactly the same with arrangement clips, and we can see that it affects them using the same controls. Now the middle option here is called follow, and personally I think this is kind of nice. What this does is this locks the clip palette to the track palette. So we can see we don't anymore have an independent control for the size of the clip palette. If we want to change it, we've got to change the tracks. This is because in follow mode, each slot in the clip palette follows the track palette exactly. Let me just change that one. That doesn't look very distinct from this. So any track which has this color, the clips in that track will take on this color here. And we can see what happens here. So then if we just put some clips in, right, we can see the same thing. We can see that each time any track with this color takes on clips of this color. So the clips no longer have any independent control. If we click this, it's just going to be the same because it just follows the track. And of course, if we are using the track painting controls, then those will follow. Now, if we are using name mode, let's just put that back in. Then what will happen is, because the name slots do not have a corresponding clip slot, then they will just remain exactly the same color as the track. Possibly in a future update I can add a following slot for the name slots as well. And of course, if we don't want to use the names at all, we can just turn it off and that will revert back to the colors that were there before. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers everything. I hope that you find this device as useful as I do, and personally we can get some nice palettes, and our live sets can look a little bit more professional, a little bit more beautiful.